Hi guys, my name's Aimee Everett.
I'm Cody Anderson.
And I'm Christian Lucero.
And we're here this week to teach you how to overhaul your kitchen and make it more macro friendly.
Yeah, so where do we start with that? Tip number one is getting yourself some good Tupperware. Some of the Tupperware we have here are obviously your high quality glass Tupperware, and this stuff's good for anytime you're making meals, sectioning off your proteins, carbohydrates, fats, just for later use and putting them in the fridge. You can section off having a protein, a fat, and a carb in each Tupperware and making yourself little meals and just leaving those in the fridge for on-the-go snacks.
This Tupperware is oven safe and microwave safe, so you can just take it right from the fridge, right in the oven to heat up. That's why I love this Tupperware, and it stacks really well. This Tupperware is just cheapy Tupperware that I buy from the grocery store, and it's kind of plastic. You can reuse it, but what I like to use this for is when I travel. When I get rotisserie chickens, I actually have one of these that's bigger, and I'll buy 3 rotisserie chickens at once, and I shred it all up. So it's nice and easy. It's easy to shred when the chicken is warm. And so you shred it all up and put it in a big Tupperware, and then people can just weigh out all day what they want. I do separate it into light and dark meat. And I never do the skin, just because it's hard to macro in what the skin is. So I take the skin off, I shred all the white meat, put it in one large Tupperware, and then all the dark meat I put in a separate Tupperware. So that way it's separated because it does have different fat values. Tip number 2 is to always have readily available good protein choices in your refrigerator. Trader Joe's has grilled white meat chicken strips that are amazing. It's already cooked, super easy. Actually, the other night, I made chicken and everybody loved it so much they ate it all, and by the time Christian got to dinner, there was no more delicious chicken. And
yeah, everyone was like, oh, this chicken is so good, Aimee. And backstory to that is Aimee's she makes really good food, but sometimes we tease her because her chicken can be dry. So like sometimes we say, oh, this chicken tastes like it, just walked through the Sahara Desert to get to the table tonight. But everyone was like, oh my gosh, this chicken is really good, Aimee. Like, what did you do? And I was like, ooh, I can't wait to try it. And she's like, oh, we're all out here, Christian, have some of these grilled white meat chicken strips. They're really good, but I mean, obviously fresh is going to be better.
It is true. Yeah. I overcook my chicken sometimes because I'm worried it'll be raw and everyone will die of salmonella. Another emergency protein that I love is smoked boneless ham steak. You can find this pretty much anywhere. This one I got from Whole Foods. The macros are really good in this. 1 serving, 3 ounces, has 16 protein, 1 carb, and 3 fat. 99% fat-free ground turkey breast is the best. Best stuff ever. If you don't have a lot of time for dinner, I use a pressure cooker often. You can cook chicken to where it's shreddable in about 17 minutes. So what I do is I just put a bunch of chicken breasts in the pressure cooker, and I added a huge container of verde sauce, and I pressure cooked it for 17 minutes. And then there you go, shredded chicken for everyone. So I like egg whites, of course, in the morning. I do all kinds of scrambles with them, vegetable scrambles. I scramble it with my ham, sometimes just cheese. Sometimes if I have an overripe banana, I'll mash up the banana in the egg whites and cook that up in a scramble, and then I add syrup, a little bit of macro-friendly syrup.
I actually do use egg whites even though I have a lot more fat than most people probably. But I find, I don't know, they're just easier because like a lot of breakfast meats have more fat in them, so I'll usually just do scrambled eggs or something like that. I
pick and choose like that as well. I would rather add a little bit of meat to my scramble and have egg whites for the source of the fat from meat rather than have whole eggs and get the fat from there. It just makes my scrambles a little more exciting. The last thing that I love to have on hand is Greek yogurt. I have a couple of favorites. Siggy's is really good at 0% milk fat, and I really love this mixed berries and acai. It has 14 carbs and 16 protein and 0 fat for 1 serving, and I always keep a ton of these in the refrigerator because they're really easy to grab on the go after your workout when you don't feel like eating chicken for one more meal.
Tip 3 is just to have a scale handy. When I started counting the macros, I didn't have a scale, and so I was just having to constantly scan barcodes of stuff and like estimate however much chicken I was eating, and it was kind of a disaster. So I have the same brand of scale as this, and it's just a good one. Probably one that you can zero out is one you want to buy. So if you're weighing out like a 1/4 cup of peanut butter, obviously your measuring cup is gonna weigh something. So having something you can zero out Then add your peanut butter too, or add whatever, bowls of rice, or I pretty much make all of my food on my scale, so it's kind of a crucial thing to have if you're counting macros.
That's good too. If you're constantly adding food on top of food, you can weigh something out, record it, zero it out, weigh something else out, so you can constantly just add in one bowl. You don't have to like have a bunch of different measuring devices or separate bowls for each ingredient that you're eventually going to combine. You can just start on the scale, you know, measure your first thing, zero it out, measure your second thing, zero it out, third thing, and just record it all as you're going.
This one is awesome actually because this pulls out. So if you have a big plate on there, you can pull it out and still read the numbers. But as Christian mentioned, I think it's really important when you're zeroing out to immediately go to FitnessPal and enter what you've done. So yogurt, 1 serving, strawberries, 200 grams, because if you don't enter it as you go and as you zero out, you're gonna get to the end of the bowl and have to do all this mathematics and be like, oh crap, what did I even put in it? So make sure as you're zeroing, you're recording before you add something else so you don't get lost.
Tip number 4 is managing your cravings. So we've got a nice little basket here full of all the things that we all secretly like to eat and not tell anybody about. When you're on Working Against Gravity, we're not saying that you can't eat any of these things, and you know we know that you're gonna, and you know this goes for all of us. We're all gonna have those temptations to eat, you know, the yummy stuff that isn't the best for us, and you definitely can. It's just about managing how much you're getting in and not binging on a whole bag of Reese's Cups or Skittles at a time.
We don't want there to be any forbidden food. Even though we all are on WAG, there is no good or bad food. And so, like Christian said, we want to manage our cravings. So we have different snacks that everybody in the house likes. But we keep them high on a shelf in the pantry in this little box so that, you know, they're not sitting on the counter and you just walking by grabbing 1 Reese's all day long, and pretty soon the whole bag is gone by the end of the day.
Yeah, another thing you can do is just have some Ziploc bags handy with just for when those cravings come. You know, either write what the macros are on them or say, you know, you know, maybe have a printout of the UPC so you can just scan it easily. That way, like they were saying, you can't, or you shouldn't eat an entire bag of Reese's.
And it's also tough too to like get a big bag of something and only be able to have like a little bit of the bag. Like you're like, oh, look at all this candy, but I can only have this much in a serving. And whereas if you have stuff measured out, you only grab that and that's all you see. And you're like, okay, this is a serving. This will, you know, pretty much satisfy my craving. And having the first thing we talked about, having it away from, you know, generally where you're gonna be most of the day, out of sight, out of mind, you're gonna not really think about it. That I think helps me the most, is having it not right in front of my face or somewhere where I can easily see it. It's somewhere like by the time I think about it and then I go all the way to the pantry and get a ladder because it's so high, or have a friend help me, like, Cody, get on your knees so I can step on your back and get this candy off.
There's a key that 2 people have to put into the thing to unlock.
By that time, I'm like, I don't even want this in the first place, so it's a pretty good deterrent.
Tip number 5 is plate sizes. So if you get to dinner time and you don't have a lot of macros left, you don't want to get this plate and have like the food right here, because then you're gonna look at it and feel like you're really missing out. So make sure you choose plate sizes or bowl sizes that are more, you know, fit your food better so that it looks like you have a full plate. So for example, if you get 2 pieces of carrot, like 4 ounces of chicken, and a half of a sweet potato, you don't want to put it on this giant plate because it's going to make it look like you don't have any food. So you want to find a smaller plate so that when you put that dinner on there, it fills the plate, and then you actually are tricking your mind into thinking like, wow, I actually have a full plate of food. So that is something that's been really helpful for me. Also, to have a variety of measuring cups and measuring spoons. A lot of these spoons, measuring spoons, it'll say like 15 milliliters on it or 5 milliliters, which is really good if you're measuring something in milliliters. Don't make the mistake of measuring a milliliter as an ounce. That's happened before to someone I know, and it wasn't pretty. Also, a wide variety of measuring cups. Sometimes things call for a half of a cup. I always measure when possible. So for example, if it's a box of noodles and it says half a cup, and then in parentheses it'll say like 85 grams, I always weigh it out in grams if I can. I only use measuring cups if there's not a gram or ounce option to actually weigh it, because weighing is of course gonna be more precise. People like scoop it in there and jam it in there. Well then now that's like probably 2 cups of rice. Rather than weighing it out. But I do recommend, if you do have something like rice where it says a cup a serving, to get another smaller serving utensil, this or a spoon, and actually scoop the rice into the cup so that it's not packed down, so you're getting a more accurate representation of a cup.
Tip number 6 is eat your carbs, don't drink your carbs. If you're a soda drinker, a good option, if you're used to drinking soda, to kind of take that craving away, but do something like seltzer water or sparkling water. I know my family goes through LaCroix a whole bunch, and I actually made an Instagram post a while ago showing that, and they never even said anything to me. So you can use a soda stream instead, despite them.
We were talking before the show, and Cody actually brought it to our knowledge that he has never drank soda.
That's not true.
That's true. He said he's never had a soda in his life.
I've never had candy or soda or anything like that, so I can't really relate to the cravings that people have.
Amish country.
Oh, well. It's a joke. I had soda before in my life. My mom was a health freak, so she didn't let us drink a whole lot of soda or sugary drinks, which
and she sent you to gymnastics with bags of carrots, right?
Yeah, I was sent with bags of carrots to gymnastics.
So he's actually implementing this little snack system we had over here.
Bring it back from 8 years old.
Yeah, before any of us were.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Look out next week.
We're gonna have tons of new cooking recipes, cooking shows, and different types of tips to help you continue your WAG journey.
And if you want more tips or just to go over the stuff we were talking about, you can click the link below for more information.
It's a PDF.
It's a PDF.
On environmental overhaul.
It's a PDF, not a word.
Not a word, you can't change it.
It's a PDF.